Hello, welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm your host, Francy Hall. We are your community connection, and we would like to thank the sponsors who are helping our community and making this show happen as well. Our premier sponsors are the City of Owatonna, Express Employment Professionals, Owatonna Public Utilities, United Way of Steele County. Our primary sponsors are Amy Swain Hearing Centers, Brookdale Senior Living Solutions, Little Theater of Owatonna, and the Owatonna Foundation. Our interlude sponsors are Abraham Consulting Technologies, Bremer Bank, Brenda Bednar Mortgage Office, Glenn Mager and Michael Mager of the Brick Mager Funeral Home and Medford Funeral Home, Carlson Bradstad and Company, CPAs, ERA Gillespie Real Estate, Fairview Animal Medical Center, Horizon Eye Care, Owatonna Business Incubator, Steele County Historical Society, Steele County Transitional Housing, the Third Hand Video Productions, and TPS Insurance. We hope that you will support these fine sponsors of our show. Coming up on the show, we have with us Kris Busse, City Administrator, and then we're going to be visiting with our Fire Chief talking about the holidays and fire safety and fire hazards. Stay with us after a word from our sponsors.
I'm Dan Branstad of Carlson Branstad and Company, Certified Public Accountants. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
Owatonna Public Utilities, real people, real reliable, real progress. Making life a little easier day after day, taking pride in our community, listening to what you say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you. Owatonna Public Utilities.
Greetings from the Steele County Historical Society. We invite you to visit us and enjoy your county's history at the History Center and Village of Yesteryear. Check our website for current exhibits and monthly programs.
Welcome back. We're joined now by Kris Busse, our City Administrator. Hello, Kris.
Hello.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Same to you.
Yes. What are we focusing on today? There's a lot to talk about.
There's always a lot to talk about in the city. What I thought I'd highlight for you today is some of the activities of our Human Rights Commission.
Great.
We have a big program coming up. It's our one we've done for several years now, a Martin Luther King Jr. Day breakfast. So we're going to have that Monday, January 18th. I have a bit of a, I don't know if I have
flyer.
a little flyer that perhaps will help us here. We're going to have, if we can just, there we go. It's going to be held at Plaza Morena. As always, there's a complimentary breakfast, and we're very excited about our speaker, Joanne Magnuson, who's going to be joining us. She is the curator of the Jewish Christian Library Center. She's an evangelical Christian. For over 35 years, she's studied with Holocaust educators, and she's been to Israel, over 66 times.
Whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. So she's very knowledgeable about Israel, and she's written a very popular book about actually a study manual for Christian pilgrims to Israel, and presents seminars very often. Mm-hmm. She was here, I think, a few years ago at the History Center. It was a very well-attended program, and her topic this year is A Young Minneapolis Bride Discovers the Segregated South in 1954.
Oh, wow. Now, is it her, or is it just a story of somebody else that she's telling you?
You know, she didn't say.
She didn't say if it was her.
You'll have to come and find out.
Great.
Yeah.
And so Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and what time does that start? It's on January 18th at what time?
Well, the breakfast we start serving that at 6:30. The program runs from 7 to 7:45, so we try and be respectful of people trying to get to work yet. Yeah. I know the kids are off that day, but not everybody has Martin Luther King Day off, so we try and work within those constraints.
So for the early birds, because it starts at 6:30,
yes, bright and early.
Plaza Morena, they host it they've been hosting it quite a bit.
Oh,
Thank you so much for doing that, because they provide the breakfast too,
yes,
don't
they do. It's all complimentary. Thanks
so
to
nice
Jose.
Of them.
Mm-hmm. It's
Great.
wonderful.
So Joanne Magnuson, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be a unique perspective, and those stories of personal stories, I think, always resonate with people and are very interesting and makes for a great program.
Yeah. We make a point of going there every year, and it's really it's just a great event. It's a great way to start your day.
It is, and start the year off right. So.
And what else is happening? If we're on the topic of Human Rights Commission,
We are.
What else is going on with the Human Rights Commission?
Well, it's a busy commission, and they're looking at a couple of other programs there. We're also going to be rolling out a essay contest, human rights essay contest for our middle schoolers in connection with the state. There's a state Minnesota Human Rights Commission as well, and so we'll be sending information to the teachers about the program. There will be cash prizes for the winners of the essay. So we'll have like first, second, third prizes. Also a little incentive for people to enter, just a little small gift for
Submitting their essay?
Exactly. So it's not, not everyone enjoys writing essays, so we thought there might be a little incentive there that might help. And then we'll pick an overall winner that will go up to the state and compete with, other regions or other, human rights districts, and there will be an overall state of Minnesota winner with a cash prize as well.
So we'll have a regional winner here, and then they may go up to the state
They may.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but what was the topic?
I'm sorry I didn't bring that, but
But it's human rights related.
Human rights related, and all the details will be given to the teachers here in the coming weeks. So
Great.
Yeah, should be a fun time.
All right.
Other
The mural?
activities, yes.
There's we just had a little chat about this. It sounded interesting. So not a lot of information, but what's going on with?
Well, one of our commissioners had, I thought, just a great idea about having a mural done down by the trail, by the blast in that area, and involving, different youth groups, perhaps art students, and just to have beautify that area, incorporate some basic human rights kind of positive messages with that, and it'd be a great activity too. It was kind of a hands-on thing, and he's busy trying to work with to get an artist to help us design something. We also have to, of course, be in contact with the park board, and there's ongoing maintenance and city council. But I think just a really neat, unique idea, another way to promote, human rights, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I just love the murals that we've had a few go up in recent years, and I just love them. And I love the idea of that, kind of inclusive human rights kind of message.
Very positive.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good. I just love hearing about the work that goes on at that Human Rights Commission. That is really neat. Well, what else is happening with the city?
As we, are nearing the end of the year, we're looking forward to 2016. And on Tuesday, our city council approved a resolution asking for the state of Minnesota to look at supporting a $45.5 million increase in local government aid. So I thought I would talk about kind of the history and where that came from. As you know, the state of Minnesota is enjoying a rather substantial surplus, right?
Yes.
And so we think it's prudent now for the state to look at restoring local government aid back to the levels it was back in 2002. And I do have another picture here.
It's been a long time, 2002.
Right.
So restoring it, because it was cut it was cut almost completely, wasn't it, back then?
Well, not completely, and I don't know if you can get a shot of this. The very bottom line is, that's the LGA that we've received. Mm-hmm. And kind of the middle line is what was promised. And so we didn't always get what was promised.
Okay.
And so the very lowest line you can see is what we actually received. And then the top line reflects what it would have been had it kept up with inflation. So
that's a big gap.
That's a big gap, right. And LGA we use for everything from library services to police to fire, street repairs, all of those things. And so it's just very important. It's kind of the bedrock of many, and certainly Owatonna's city budget is local government aid. And
How
so,
big of a percentage of our budget is that?
well, in 2002, it was about 42% of our total
Oh, wow,
general
that's a big-
fund
yeah.
revenues. And now it's down to 23%. So you can see where it causes a lot of difficulty for us not having those funds. And we struggled like everyone back in the recession, and at that time the funding was cut quite drastically. And so we made operational and budget changes, reduced 8 full-time staff. We had gained operational efficiencies where possible. Pay levels were frozen, and we also reduced our investments in infrastructure. We kept up with what we could. We put off what we could, and now it's all kind of, we're trying to play catch up.
Sure.
On basic infrastructure items that you can't fix or delay or put off. I mean, it's just a necessary investment that you need to do, and so that's why we're hoping that the legislature will take a good hard look at that and maybe restore that for us.
And you're in contact with our local legislators about that as well? Or
Oh,
who
absolutely.
else is involved in this process?
Well, John Petersburg, Vicki Jensen, we hope to be working with them very closely in the new session and before to kind of really explain what it means for our city. For us, if that $45 million was added back, would be another almost $500,000 for the city of Owatonna.
Okay.
So a rather significant, investment, and we could use that money towards, additional street repairs, additional equipment needs. We've been patching and repairing our equipment to the point where, you can't do it anymore, and you need to invest in new equipment. And so, we need those snow plows, we need those police cars, and those fire engines are very expensive, and there's one coming up in 2017 that's going to be, that alone is probably about $500,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we would make very good use of that money and be very careful. And I think this city council has done a great job with being very frugal and very conservative with the levy. I think for the last, following those drastic cuts in local government aid in 2008, the city maintained its levy increase to a minimum. We had a cumulative levy increase of 7.63% over a 6-year period from 2009 to 2014.
And that's after losing a significant
about $1.5 million, yeah,
of what we got from LGA. So that in no way makes up even then
Right.
for what we lacked from the LGA.
Right. So we lost, total about $1.5 million during that
And we
period.
just kind of ate, and like you said, we had to downsize some things. Okay.
Right. Well, in 2013, they did restore part of it. We're at about $4 million right now, but that's still not up to the about 5.1 million it was in 2002.
Okay. Well, we get our legislators on it, and hopefully we will get that money back. Thank you so much. You're always so insightful and great information from the city. Thank you very much, Kris.
You're welcome.
Hey, stay with us. We will be right back after word from our sponsors. We'll be visiting with Fire Chief Mike Johnson about holidays and the holiday dangers that face us for fire hazards. Stay with us after word from our sponsors.
United Way is all about
a safety net in times of crisis.
Strong, safe, healthy community.
children and youth achieving their potential.
Healthy children.
Independent and stable families. Better health of community members.
Please join us and all Napa Distribution Center employees by giving generously, advocating for a better quality of life, and volunteering your time. We all win when we live united.
The majority of fatal home fires happen at night when people are sleeping. Smoke alarms give you time to escape. We recommend that you have a smoke alarm in every sleeping room of the house and on every floor in the common living areas. Smoke alarms should be tested monthly, and batteries should be replaced at least once a year. This is a safety tip from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hello, I'm Glenn Mager. And I'm Michael Mager with the Brick Mager Funeral Home and the Medford Funeral Home. At Brick Mager, we are privileged to have served the families of Steele County community for 118 years.
Whether you choose traditional burial or cremation, we promise the tribute your loved one deserves with the peace of mind that you require.
We are proud to be part of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, this is Barry Gillespie, president of ERA Gillespie Real Estate, where our pledge is to save you money, save you time, and simplify your life. And we're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hello, I'm David Einhaus with the Owatonna Foundation. Thank you to all of our donors who have helped make Owatonna a better place to live. Will you join us today with a financial gift? Owatonna Foundation is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection. We're joined now by Fire Chief Mike Johnson. Hello, Mike.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, we're always happy to have you.
Yep.
It's the holidays. We just heard about the fire that took place in Minneapolis due to decorations and whatnot, so we should probably talk a bit about that, right?
Yeah, it's the holiday season. I think everybody enjoys decorating their homes, and I think, I enjoy that when I see that throughout the community. But it's important to think about safety because there are some hazards because we decorate our homes that people should be aware of, because you want to enjoy the holiday season, you don't want to have a fire, and there's some things you can do to make your home safer.
You know, every year we talk about that fire safety. I mean, you hear it all the time. Oh, okay, be careful, and yet we need to reiterate it because,
Yeah. It starts with Christmas trees. Many people get artificial trees. If you buy an artificial tree, you want to get one that's fire resistive. That doesn't mean that it can't start on fire, but those are better trees to get. And many people still prefer to get a live tree. And when you purchase your tree or maintain your tree, you should be aware that those needles can get dry and they can be very combustible when the trees get dry. And there's ways to check that. If you buy a tree, just go up and feel the needles on the branches and pull away gently. If they're coming off, the tree's probably dry or it's starting to be too old to purchase that tree. The other thing is you can just simply take the tree and lift it up and then just drop it. And if the needles are falling off, the tree's too dry.
I looked at trees the other day and I noticed that there were a lot of spray painted, like some of them were spray painted green. So I'm assuming that's camouflaging the fact that it may have even been a little bit brown.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that that tree is getting water. Once you get it home, put it in a safe place. You don't want to block any exits. You don't want to put it by a fireplace where it's going to become excessively dry. And then if you do those things, you're going to be a lot safer with the tree that you purchase. But then you have to go back and look at decorative lighting and make sure you're using that lighting properly. If you look on the package, you want to purchase UL listed or some lighting that's been tested. And then when you go through and put that lighting up, you want to check the wiring, make sure there's no cracks or frays. And sometimes the little receptacle for the bulb gets cracked. Somebody may step on it. And if that wire or the receptacle is damaged, you want to replace that lighting. So those are some safety things as far as lighting. Then
can I ask you a quick question about that?
Sure.
What about if there's no light in it?
It depends. Some of those lights will work. There's LED lighting, there's different ones, but you can read that on your package for your holiday lighting that you use. And then the other thing is you want to look on the package to see if it says indoor use only and make sure you're using indoor or outdoor lighting appropriately when you put that out on your home.
What would happen if we use an indoor lighting, let's say outside in a planter box, and it might be exposed to wetness?
Whenever you're using any electrical outside, it should be grounded, and it's going to have a different receptacle that you plug in, so it's grounded wiring that's there for safety. So an indoor wiring wouldn't have that, and that would become a hazard where you could get electrocuted.
Okay.
So, and some of the other things people do when they decorate, many people put out holiday candles. And candles, if you have candles, they're very beautiful, but you want to make sure that you put them in a safe candle holder. And I like the ones in my home that there's a glass container and it goes inside of there. So when the candle burns down, it's going to go through the glass and that's non-combustible and it's not going to become a fire hazard. But the holders sometimes are combustible, which is not a good idea with candles. And then the other thing is people put decorations, bows and things like that around the candle, and that can be combustible and actually can be a fire hazard that's there. And then the last thing is you want to make sure that that candle holder is stable. And I see a lot of tall ones and they look really pretty, but they're easy to knock over. And animals, kids, others can go through and knock them over, and then of course it becomes a fire hazard that's there. So, you know, look at that, and if you have those unsafe candle holders, you may want to replace those with something that's a little sturdier and eliminates that chance of starting a fire.
Okay. Those are a lot of things that we need to really be mindful of, because I've several of the things you've said, I think I'm going to have to go home and address.
And every year I hear people when they're decorating, they'll go through and they forget about safety, especially if you're putting on lights on the outside of your home. Make sure you get a good ladder and use your ladder safely when you're going to go through and put up lighting, because I hear people falling and getting hurt, and that's not a lot of fun to go through the holiday when you're injured.
What about, so the outdoor lighting that we were just talking about, what do we need to worry about with those at all? I mean, is there any, I don't know, kind of interaction if like right now it's raining out? Yep. If there was something broken, how can it cause a fire?
Well, there's fuses in there and you have circuit breakers and everything works. You should be protected by it, but you want to make sure you're checking that wiring and those sockets to make sure they're okay. And one other important component of that is many people use excessive use of extension cords, or they overload the outlets on their electrical outlets. And when you go through and you buy a set of holiday lighting, on the package it'll tell you how many strings of lights can be stringed together or plugged into each other, and you don't want to exceed that amount. And then the other thing is you don't want to exceed the load of the outlet that you're plugging those lights into with other lighting things that are there. And then just make sure that the extension cords, if you use those, are rated for the load that you're putting on that with the holiday lighting or other things that you're using during the holidays.
How do we know what the load is? Is it the outlet itself is what, like 125 volts is the typical outlet, is that right? Or
yeah, in most of the packages are going to tell you how much you can use those lights together with each other, and that'll give you a good indication of what you can put together that's there. So look on the packages. There's good information on the rating, how you use it safely, and if you follow that, you should have a safe holiday.
Okay, so even if my the outlet is not overloaded in terms of the voltage, you still shouldn't string together as many more lights than that set says to string together.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's something that you want to do for safety that's there.
Okay.
So, and then, you know, the holidays is always a really good time where people use their fireplaces. And it's a good reminder, if you're using your fireplace, that those should be checked annually and they should be cleaned if needed to make sure that you don't have a fire in your fireplace. And then make sure you keep things away from the fireplace for safety if you're using them during the holidays or the winter months. And many of those fireplaces, you can go through and get a screen that'll go in front of the fireplace, and that keeps those embers or the sparks from coming out and igniting anything that's combustible in the area. So keep things away from the fireplace, good 3 feet away, to make sure things are safe.
Well, so many of us put our wood and our fire starting stuff, like the newspapers or whatever, right next to it for convenience, but maybe put those further away.
I see a lot of people hang Christmas stockings that are very decorative right over the fireplace. That gets very hot. It's not a good idea.
Okay. What about, you talked earlier when we were visiting about plants, tell us about the...
Many of the plants, poinsettias, mistletoe, holly, rhododendron, and even potpourri that people use during the holidays, those things can be toxic to animals and to small children when they're there. So if you use those, they're very pretty, they're very decorative, but use them safely and realize if you have small children around, you don't want to put them in a place where they can get those. And then think about animals also that can go through cats and chew on those leaves because it can be toxic.
That just reminds me too, I guess we need to be concerned about cats or dogs or kids also getting those wires, maybe even chewing on them, well, pets especially, but.
Yeah, it's, just make sure you watch those or keep kids away from those. And candles is one of the big things because kids can knock them over. And if you're using those candles, you always should be close to those candles. And candles should always be attended. And when you have children around or pets around, you want to make sure you're watching so that they don't knock those over and you can use them safely.
Sure, okay. Is there anything else real quick that we want to cover before we sign off here?
I think the holiday season is a great time to, if you're still looking for gifts for people you know, your loved ones, consider some of the safety things that you can give them. And my recommendations, if they don't have working smoke detectors, you can go through and purchase those, and that's a good idea to get those in people's homes. Carbon monoxide detectors, you want to have one on each level of your home. It's a great idea. Every year we hear people that are injured or sometimes killed by CO poisoning.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And those are preventable deaths. If you have smoke detectors, CO detectors, that'll work.
And
fire extinguishers for your home and your car is a good idea. And also weather radios make a great gift for people, both for winter and summer weather. So if you don't have all your gifts, consider using some of those safety items.
This is great last minute gift giving tips too.
That's right.
Great, thank you so much for that.
So,
well, thank you for joining us, Chief. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, and
yes.
Hope everybody has a good holiday.
And a safe one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Thank you very much for joining us. Do stay with us. After a word from our sponsors, we'll be back with our community announcements.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
I'm Deb Gillard. And I'm Shawn McNulty with Brookdale Owatonna Assisted Living and Memory Care,
where we provide optimum living activities to keep our residents engaged in life.
And we are a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Thanks so much for joining us. We are your Community Connection, and here are your community announcements. Applications for the recognition of the 2016 Century Farm in Steele County are available now online. Century Farms will be recognized during Steele County Livestock Hall of Fame program on Tuesday, August 16th. Farms that qualify for the Century Farm recognition are those that are at least 100 years old in 2016 and that have authentic land records proving that ownership must be family-owned for 100 years continuous ownership. You can email Century Farms at mnstatefair.org or call 651-288-4400 for more information. Auditions for the third show in the Little Theater of Owatonna's 50th season for Harvey, a comedy by Mary Chase. Those auditions are Saturday, December 19th from 10 a.m. to noon and Monday, December 21st from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Little Theater. Call Artistic Director Shelley Whitehead at 507-837-9025 for more information. We thank you so much for joining us. Do come back and join us next week. We will have end-of-year tax tips. We'll be visiting with the K-9 Cash Officer, K-9 Cash, about his new vest that he received and more. Come back and join us then.